Okay, no, that's that. We're live. Okay. Okay, this is all that unimportant stuff like miscellaneous tax.
Who are we talking?
Okay,
Start with H 49, if that's all right.
alright. Okay, so H 484, 484, 89, 87,
89.
89, okay, I'm still learning Jill's head, right?
Good afternoon, Tucker Anderson. H 489 is a charter amendment for the town of Shelburne. They are adding one new section to their charter to allow local option tax of 1% on sales of meals and alcoholic beverages and rooms. They use the exact same charter language that you've seen several times over the last few sessions, primarily City of St. Albans.
I now have four.
Go get this to approve.
Senator, these are charter changes that have a local option tax.
Oh, yes, we talked about
So-
these before.
Yes, and since I told them we could knock them out. Because we voted to let everybody do local option taxes more than once.
Okay, 471.
We are on 489.
Clerk has arrived.
Clerk has arrived. Okay, clerk, grab your pencil, we got a vote going.
Oh, no testimony?
Nice, sir. Good job.
Who needs testimony?
I think it's 240.
Where is it?
It is charter change
Shelburne.
for Shelburne, and they want to put a local option sales group and
Liquor.
alcohol,
Meals and alcohol.
meals and alcohol.
They put the McDonald's on the Shelburne
That's up to them.
Farms.
Nothing in those.
Yeah.
Okay,
The museum.
do I have a motion to approve?
I move that Senate Finance approve H 489.
Okay. Move that we approve H 489 charter for the town of Shelburne with a local option tax. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. I've got that as 502. Okay, next topic, 505?
May I report that one since it's in the district?
Yes.
Thank you.
505, an amendment to the charter of the City of Rutland to allow the Board of Aldermen to assess a local option tax just on sales. And they have a special provision that the revenue received from their local option tax on sales will go towards capital improvement reserve funds, reducing the deficits in underfunded pensions, and financing construction and capital projects.
They're gonna sell a lot.
It is anticipated, based on the JFO numbers that I remember, that the total will be around 2 million, with 70% of that going to the city on an annual basis.
Further
What
discussion?
kind of sales?
All sales, anything that's subject to the state sales tax.
Floor sales? Gentlemen's?
Oh, he's talking about,
Jiggers?
Anything the sales tax goes.
I only sail a Viking ship, so we put up a square in the wind and
Floor stations?
praise Odin, let's go.
I have a clamming thing, if any of you would like a clamming tax.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
move that Senate Finance approve H 505.
okay. Senator Bray has moved that we approve H 505. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Senator McCormick, why don't you report this one?
Okay,
You, your area.
what town was?
Rutland. Okay.
You've probably been there. Mr. Anderson, what was the dollar value to Shelburne?
From what I recall, the amount that will actually go to the town after the state takes 30% out will be around 600,000 annually. JFO did a report on both of these that I forwarded the
Okay,
exact
that
numbers.
would be great.
Thank you.
Okay, now the town of Shelburne, city of Rutland. And then down,
50.
5022. 5022. Okay, thank you. All right. And we do not have anyone scheduled for 15 minutes, so we may take a break. We've got to get miscellaneous tax out. Somebody told me that, I think it's the Barry Tiff bill is actually on the floor today. What's making me nervous is, I don't know, and they're still working their way through getting childcare out. I don't know what the House is going to send us, but I want to have miscellaneous tax up and ready to go. I know that, well, I've told you before, the veggie sunset needs to go. And then, I'm still we're trying to get some more, we've got more committee discussion on that miscellaneous ed. I'm getting concerned that once we start taking the cost of driver's ed off the top, that we might as well just say, like school meals, that driver's ed is going to be a state expense, rather than each school is responsible for putting it on. The car for the foster kids is a budget appropriation, that's not this. But I don't want to vote this thing out until I'm sure we're not. And I might see if I can't find Senator Campion. I've asked them to be here this afternoon.
Here, just right outside the door.
He's right out here.
Julie and Ted Fisher from the Agency of Education Review.
Or Ted Fisher. I'm getting all mixed up. Between Ted's and Abby's.
It's hard to imagine that with one visit that all will want.
Well, of course they will. Why should they pay for it if we're going to, and they don't have to ask their taxpayers?
It's right here if you want.
I just want to talk about your little miscellaneous ed.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Have a seat.
Thanks.
Should we still be live?
We should still be live, yes.
Where?
Okay, we just had Barb Brody in, yes. We had Barbara Brody in from the driver's ed thing, it's live. The concern I'm developing, communicating to the committee, is the car for the foster kids that need a car to practice in. That's all, so far, my understanding is in an appropriation. The 200,000, we said, out of the ed fund is going to help schools that don't have enough driver's ed teachers to hire driver's ed teachers. My concern with that is, in my experience, driver's ed has always been referred to as an unfunded mandate by the schools. They have never liked being told to do it. Once we put any money into it for some schools, we might as well assume that we are going to be asked to put that much money into it for all schools, kind of like universal meals.
Right.
And I want to have time to work that through.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Madam Chair. A couple of things. As I understand it, I've not looked at this bill in a while, if anyone has a copy of it. This was the pilot program for driver's ed, where one of the things, this came to us from Senate Transportation, is where they started.
Yes, we have a
Yeah.
representative.
And then they sent it down to Senate Education, where we've been working on it what seems like for a decade, but it's only been a couple of months. And if I may, I would ask Ledge Council to walk you through. Have they already been in here?
We've got S.A.J.
Yeah,
coming
because-
in and Julia and Ted Fisher.
Yeah,
It's just,
I understand where you're coming from, whether or not to put the
and
only.
this committee guards the ed fund,
Of course,
because we have to set the tax rate.
right.
The rest you just spend.
Right. So my only concern, doesn't make it impossible, is if this part is pulled out, what does it do, and this would be a question for Ted Fisher, in terms of the future of 461 for this year? I personally have no issue, because we were,
If we just pull that out and ask to be given more time to
Yeah.
work on it, because I literally found out about it last Thursday.
sure.
At 5:00, so.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that, manager. What I'm wondering though is, so this would then go back to the House. They wouldn't be able to concur in time. Again, I have no issue with,
Oh, okay, because this is an H.
this is an H bill.
So can you touch base with your counterparts and tell them that there's an emerging concern over here about
I
the
did,
ongoing cost?
yeah. For once in my life, I'm 2 steps ahead of you. I actually have been sharing with Mr. Fisher and others in the Agency of Education that I thought this committee might be concerned and that this bill may indeed need to be finished next year. I'll let them explain their
It
response.
doesn't need to get, if we just take out that
Yeah.
section, everything else, all they have to do is concur and everything else will go.
Okay,
Everything, and nothing else in this bill needs to get held up.
I completely agree,
Yeah, this is-
except I'm just thinking of timing and I'm looking to Senator Bray. Would that give them enough time to concur?
Friday departure, when would we be voting on
It
that?
would be on the floor tomorrow if we did all stages of passage tomorrow.
If we got it out today.
So depends on, if we're suspending rules of messaging, anything voted tomorrow could be finished on Friday. But without any suspension of rules, then we run short a day if Friday is really it. However, we're already anticipating coming back in June for 3 or 4 days, whatever it is. And so it would just roll to June
If
and
they won't concur,
Yeah.
just see,
We've got a lot of different options, 2 different
Yes.
options. That's great. I forgot about that, which actually is,
and we can finish it up then.
yeah,
They can get their act together, but if they could concur with the idea that, maybe we will find out later today that it doesn't, but I've never
Yeah.
seen us start paying for something in some schools that the schools don't like paying for anyway,
yeah.
I'm very concerned that Approps paid for 100% of the cost for
Yeah,
CPG cleanup in schools, because that just sets a very expensive precedent. I don't know where we're getting the money. So I don't want to set a precedent saying we're going to take over the cost of driver's ed in schools.
right. Did you just mention PCE,
Well, the
Oh,
appropriate,
right,
they
right,
spent
yeah.
the money that this committee set aside
Yeah.
last year, but they
Some
covered.
of it,
No, they spent, it's all gone, and they covered 100% of the cost of the schools we've identified, except Burlington, which only got 16 million.
I believe, I could be wrong, I'll go back and look, I thought that fund still, with Burlington money out of it, still had roughly $11 million in it.
It only had 31, we did away with 8. And then if you gave 60, maybe they got 100% of the cost, but there isn't very much money left, because.
I'll check with Stephanie again, but I believe there are still multiple millions of dollars in it, but I will check with Stephanie.
Because we didn't put anything aside this year, and that was my concern. We do have money on the bottom line in the yield bill to reduce the tax rate next year. I would have preferred to hold it, but
Right.
we didn't get it out.
I'll check with Stephanie on that piece.
Yeah.
But on the driver's ed piece, yes, I will relay those concerns. And you're gonna have Ted and team in this
Yeah,
afternoon.
tell them we've got enough things impacting the property tax rate next.
Well, he's coming into this committee still,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, nobody conveys that message better than you, but I'm happy
Yes,
to
I'm
give
good
him a.
at it being, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's from the Department of Ed, not the House.
Right.
Is he
Yeah,
part of the
I'll,
House?
good question. I think it's Peter Conlon still, but I will check.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. He just barely reads. Okay, I'm gonna give this a 5-minute break because.
Okay, then I'll come back to you.
Yeah, just
All right.
let us know what you hear from them. I'll see
Yeah, okay,
what I can find.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, folks. Gotta